G'day fellas, and welcome to a build order overview. This is a refined build order for the French. It's for team games and for 1v1s. Now the variant today that we're going to be looking at is a 1v1 variant, but it's very easy to transition this build order into your team games as well. So just to give you a quick rundown of the build order, this is going to be called the 973 build order. That refers to the amount of villages we have on each respective resource. So without further ado, let's get into it and take a look at the start. So we're just going to be queuing up 4 villages in the town center. We're going to be moving all of our villages onto a starting sheep, and then we're going to be moving our scout out to collect the other sheep, but we're also going to be moving the starting sheep a little bit closer to the town center. This is really important for early efficiency, so let's get into it. You can see him just move a little bit right there. It can be a bit hard to do sometimes, but if you can get the click right, it is absolutely perfect. So for anybody wondering, just before we do get into it, if you're interested in seeing coaching content, so not necessarily build orders, but coaching content where I talk about ways that you can improve and refine your game, check out the Patreon. We've got lots of content on there, team games, 1v1, all civilizations. I think at the moment probably closing in on about 50 different coaching sessions, so check it out. I'm sure you might like some of it. Yeah, alright, so we're just going to start off 9 villages going to food, and I know that might seem like a lot, but there is a reason we do that, and that's because we're going to be going for a trade. This is a trade opening for the French, and the thing is, we want to try and get our trade landmark as close as we can to the neutral trading post. We can see it down here on the minimap. Because we are French, we do get access to seeing those trading posts when we spawn in, so we know where they're going to be. And we only want to trade when we've got good trading post spawn. So what's a good trading post spawn? When it's in the corner like this is a good trading post spawn. In the middle here, this is not a good trading post spawn. Another type of bad trading spawn might be one that's like over on the side here, but it's a little bit too far forward, so it's very close towards the enemy, so we want to avoid that. So we just drop a house down next to the town center. We make sure that it's 2 tiles away from the town center so we can still fit farms in. And after we've got 9 villages on food, then we're going to be sending out our villagers out to gold, and we're going to be going 3 villages on gold. And then from there, we're going to be rallying out to wood. And it's going to be 7 villages on wood. So a nice, really simple opening. Nothing too crazy to follow here. It's not like the Chinese openings. I remember seeing a meme on Reddit that somebody posted, and it was just like France versus Chinese. It's like France, go 8-3-3, age up with a school of cavalry, kill them with knights. And then for Chinese, it's literally like 40 different steps that you've got to do. French is so easy. This is one of the reasons why I love playing this civilizations, especially in team games, 2v2s especially. Really, really fun. So now that we've got the 3 villages over on gold, we're going to start rallying our town center out towards wood. Now, one of the mechanics that you're going to need to be aware of is how the school, or how the landmark works. So as you can see, we're already beginning to move out our 4 villages. We did this around the 2-minute 10, 2-minute 15 mark. It depends on how far away your trading post is. As an example, if you've got one in this corner and you've only got to walk this far, maybe you don't want to send them out that much early, or like you don't need to send them out super duper early. But it's something that you will work out as time goes on. In team games, you might need to send it out even a bit earlier. But one thing to remember is that if you do have your, because you've got 9 villages on food, you're going to be able to maintain parity. Once you've crossed that 400 food threshold, you can move your villages out. And as soon as you've got the money to just throw that bad boy down, you can go as close to the trading post as you want, but ideally you just want to throw it down as quickly as possible. So now that it's down, what's going to happen is every technology that you research, it's going to give you a free trader that is going to train automatically. Now, you can't train a paid trader, one that you pay for, and a free trader at the same time. And you can't train multiple traders at the same time. So you can only do one at a time. So what we're going to do is we're going to stagger our technologies. Not so that they all come in at once, but rather so that they are coming through individually. So now that we've done we're still working on that 973. So we're still rallying out to wood at this point, but you can see we're researching our first, it's forestry, our first upgrade. Now, even if we research this before we age up, it will still create the free trader. Now we're also going to be researching survival techniques. We're not going to be utilizing our mill or our deer just yet, but that's okay. We're mainly doing this for the free trader. We will go on to the deer later. So now, once we're up onto 7 villages on wood, this is when we're going to rally back our villagers back towards the food. And another thing, we want to throw down the mill as soon as once we've aged up. You basically immediately want to throw down a mill with a villager. I might pause it here because we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So we want to pause. Sorry, we want to send a villager from our sheep out over to the berries, and we want to drop down this mill pretty much as soon as you've clicked up. That's really important. He can go chill on berries for a little bit. I think, did he even go to berries? Yeah, 14 food off the berries. And now this villager is going to come out into the corner, and it needs to build a market. This is really important. This ville needs to be ready as soon as you're aged up. Needs to be in this corner to drop down the market, because this is where you're going to be trading from, okay? You're not going to be trading from your Chamber of Commerce to your trade post and back to your Chamber of Commerce. It doesn't work that way. Instead, we're going to be building a market in the corner. Now, when it comes to building your market, let's say this gold vein is right on top of the corner. What we want to do is we still want to build our market along this edge of the map, as far away as we can from this trading post. We don't want to build closer. We want to build along this edge. Even if we come out, that's okay. But it has to be on this edge. So now we've got our 7 villagers on wood. What we're going to do is we're going to rally these guys in onto food back again. And the town center is just going to stay on food for pretty much the rest of your life. All right, so that is absolutely fine. These 4 villagers, once they're finished, they're going to go onto wood, and they can just be proxied over here. It's up to you how safe you want to be. Now, if you're at the Conqueror 3 level and you're watching this, you know, if Beastie's watching this, he'll be like, oh, look, those villagers out there, it's probably a bit dangerous. You know, what if a longbow or a knight comes in? That's a good point. Maybe you just want to move them back to your base, and that's okay. You can do that. But this is really important to get up. So as soon as we age up, you're going to see that immediately our trader begins training. There they are, and we've got 2 of them in queue. So now what we're going to do, now that we've aged up, you might be thinking, okay, Drongo, I know what you're going to do next. You're going to research Wheelbarrow. And you're close, except you're so far. Wheelbarrow is going to take us 1 minute and 30 seconds. A trader takes 25 seconds to train, which means that we're going to have 50 seconds for our traders to come out, and then there's going to be a downtime of 40 seconds. That's too long. What we're going to do instead is research horticulture, and that horticulture is only going to take 45 seconds. And I'm sure you can see where we're going with this, because 45 seconds plus the trader time, which takes 50 seconds, is going to mean that we're going to have 1, 2, 3 traders back to back coming out. And because we put our Chamber of Commerce right in the corner here, or right up against the edge of the map, it's going to cut the trip down in half. Now, before I move any further, I need to explain why I've done this, because a lot of people might just look at this and think, Drongo, the Chamber of Commerce acts as a market, and there's going to be people who know the reason why I've done this, and there's going to be people who don't know the reason why. So this is for those who don't know. What we're doing here is we're doing what's called the trade trick. Essentially, the way that trade works is that you have a market in the corner, and opposite that you've got a trading post, and there's going to be the first leg of your trading, which goes from this market, and the trader walks all the way across the map down towards the market, collects the gold, and then walks all the way back. However, it doesn't actually need to make that first leg. If you can make the trader somewhere else, but still set his home market to this market back here, then you can fool him into thinking he's come the whole way. Now, we don't know if it's a bug. We don't know if it's a hack. It's obviously not a hack. You don't have to do anything like that. We don't know if it's a bug. We don't know if it's intended, but this is a currently viable mechanic in the game that has not yet been fixed, and so many people use this. Many people abuse it, whatever the word that you want to put in there is. People use this. So how do you do it? Well, what we're going to do is you need to have the market complete. It won't work if the market's like this. So once the market is complete, what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on this market, and then we're going to hold down shift, and then we're going to click this. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell the trader when they come out, set your home market to this market, and then come down to this trading post. And what that's going to do is it's going to automatically have the traders do that. Now, I did a little extra step in here as well, which I will show you. I'm happy to talk about as well. But basically, when you do that, what happens is the trader comes out this side, and then it's like, okay, I'm going down to this market. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. I'm just setting my home market to this market. Let me do what I should be doing, which is coming down here. So he'll come out on this side and then walk around. So basically what I do is I just put a rally point here, and then I set the home market, holding down shift, and then I put him to the trade post there. So you can see there's the rally point. And then what that's going to do is it's going to mean the trader pops out on this side, then sets the home market, and then it just saves you like a couple of seconds walking distance. That's all, a walking time. So we've got our horticulture, it's come through, and now our third trader is in as well, and we're going to start looking at picking up all of the rest of our upgrades. Now, of course, while we were doing this, we've dropped down a stable, and now we're going to start producing a knight. We're at 5 minutes 30, so it's still relatively early in this game, but we obviously have been quite exposed throughout this. If you're playing against a really aggressive English player who ages up at 4 minutes and 2 seconds and sends out longbows, you are going to be in trouble. But this strategy is multifaceted. I'm going to continue on with the build order, but then we'll talk a little bit about at the end about why you might want to do this strategy, because it's not just because of the trade that you want to be doing this. It's because it promotes your enemy to be aggressive, and then you can actually take advantage of that. So we're now adding in an archery range, and we're just rallying to food. We've got 9 villagers on wood. Well, we've got our 7 that are originally here, and then we've got our other 4 back here. So that's the reason why. But we're still rallying onto wood. Still got the 3 villagers on gold, so very easy when it comes to the macro side of things. And we want to avoid making too many knights, because we do need our gold to make sure that we're getting all of our upgrades. And when our traders come in, you can see they're carrying 176 gold. It's a huge amount. That's when we're going to be looking to get those key upgrades as well. Things like wheelbarrow that are quite expensive if we don't get our gold from our trades. So that's a key factor. So don't be afraid to make a horseman or 2 in the early game. But from here, we're just going to send in the knight. We're about 7 minutes through, so it's getting pretty late, right? Like, if you're up against the Holy Roman Empire, like, he's probably already building his Burgrave Palace now, so you're not going to be doing super damage. But against a civilization, say like the Chinese, you are going to be doing some pretty decent damage here. Their town center will be up by now, but you're still going to be able to cause idle time, and that's a key thing. So we're now getting the final upgrade here. We've already picked up Specialized Pick. We've picked up Horticulture, Survival Techniques, Forestry, and getting Double Broadaxe here. My timing on Double Broadaxe wasn't the best. I did leave it a little bit late. It should have come in a bit earlier than what it did, and it means that I'm going to be stacking up 2 traders on top of this. But it's not the end of the world. We're sitting on 4 traders at the moment. And now we kind of enter the phase where if you're playing in a team game, you're going to start playing differently than what we're playing now. So if you're playing in a team game, you're probably going to want to start adding in more traders at this point. You can go up to 50 traders. 50 traders is absolutely fine for you in a team game. Whereas in a 1v1, you can stick with 6 traders. That's the equivalent of about 9 villages that you've got over your enemy. On top of that, you've also got the town center, which is producing villages faster than what your enemy is. But it gives you a nice little boost. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this boost to really push along our production. And that's what the goal of this is. We want to get super duper crazy production. Now we're getting lots of gold. And what do you do when you got lots of gold? You get upgrades. You look at your economy and you say, oh my God, I've got 1,000 gold. What am I going to do with this? I'm just going to get all my blacksmith upgrades. I'm going to get all my economic upgrades. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to build the blacksmith. We're going to start picking up those upgrades. And then we're going to start focusing on getting our production down. But you can see now we've got those final last traders coming out. So 6 traders is the key number. Now, there is an option to get a 7th one through professional scouts. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's really worth it. It's quite an expensive one if you did want to go for it. Professional scouts is quite hard to micromanage, and you do have to play around it if you really want to go for it. And I would just say, like, look, too many chefs spoil the broth. It is the same sort of thing, right? Like, you don't want to be going too crazy doing lots of different things. You just want to be focusing on one thing, and that's like you secure your trade. And now that you've got your trade up, your enemy is going to start being aggressive towards you, trying to shut down the trade, because they don't know, is this guy making 20 traders, or is he just going with 6 traders? Is this going to be a threat? Is it going to outscale my 2 TC? Do I need to go for trade myself? Should I try and shut this down? So it's going to force your enemy out of their hidey hole. And as a result, you're able to take advantage with your knights, because knights, the best feudal age unit that there is, probably the best unit in the game. Quite honestly, it is such an amazing unit, and it's going to force them out of their hidey hole, and then that's where we can take advantage. And now you can see the play style that we're looking for. It's a very heavy orientation around the knights. We want enough archers that we can one-shot spearmen, and the rest of it is just going to be filled out with knights. Heavy amounts of knights. Now, you might be looking at this and thinking, Drongo, this is an absolutely crazy amount of production. There is no way you're going to be able to support this. You're wrong. You're actually wrong. It's kind of wild at 10 minutes thinking you'd be able to support 6 production facilities, but I assure you can. And the reason why is because you don't have the School of Cavalry. School of Cavalry reduces the time that it takes for you to train anything, any cavalry from your stables, but you don't have that here. So, as a result, it means you do have to drop down more production to compensate. But it's a super easy strategy to macro for, as you can see. Like, we're rallied out to gold at the moment, and I'm just going to be taking villagers off gold and moving them over to food. But from here, balancing your economy, it's quite simple. The main goal is that we want to be adding farms in around our town center. We want to be adding farms in around mills. The easiest way for you to do that is just to rally your town center to wood, and then just to pull 8 villagers off you might get 6, so you just grab 8 like that using the shift click, and then just throw a mill down with some farms around it. If you don't have any wood, that's okay. Just send out some villagers over to these hunts just like this. 5 villagers will do. 5 villagers for an outpost and a hunt and a mill. That way they can all jump inside the outpost in the event the enemy comes. So from here, it's just a matter of continuing to make units, and that's essentially it. So the build order is just a very simple 9, 7, 3, 9 vills to food, 3 vills to gold, and then 7 vills to wood. And then from there, we're just rallying to food for the rest of the time. And I'll run you through just a little bit more. We'll speed it up just so you can see the production numbers. But you can see that we've got quite a fair bit of production in queue at the moment. And our resources are quite low. And it's always better to have more production than it is to have less production. This is something I tell people quite a lot. You would much rather have 5 stables with 1 knight in all of them than 2 stables with 3 knights in them. It's just, it's so much better to have those knights right now, because it means that you can keep your resources really low. Like, look at this. We're sitting under 400 resources very happily. And it means that we are spending everything that we're getting straight away and just turning it into units. Of course, our main focus is just going to be on knights. That's going to be where the majority of our attention is going to be. So once again, we can rally towards the wood and then transition to farms, or we can rally towards gold and then pull the villagers off gold and put them onto other food resources. I kind of prefer that with the French. It's a bit easier that way. But yeah, as you can see, like the production at the moment, like we've got 3 knights in production and 2 archers. So like we're very easily able to maintain this level of production at this point in the game. So it's important that you do that. And also just with regard to, it's a small thing, your stables and your archery ranges, you want to configure them like this, just simply because you're going to be dropping a keep down right here in the middle of them. And then that way you can actually get 12 military buildings in it. Now obviously here, I'm going to be running out of space, but we'll eventually get through this and we'll be able to drop down more production facilities. But yeah, the idea is that we're going to be putting a keep here, and that's why we do that. You can put them much closer together, much more tighter, but I prefer to do it like this. That way you can maximize, instead of getting 8 military production buildings in the AoE, you're getting 12, which is pretty good, right? Like that's not too bad. Yeah, so, I mean, at this point, I don't think there's much else to really say. We're still sitting on 6 traders. Okay, I guess this is probably something that we could talk about. We're still sitting on 6 traders at this point. We haven't made any extra traders. The whole idea here is just to use these traders as a bait for our enemy, kind of say, hey, come out of your base, come fight me. Then look to try and capitalize on the knights. We're not going for a trade victory. We're still going for knight superiority as our victory condition. And you'll be able to overwhelmingly do that with the amount of numbers that we've got here. 5 knights in queue at the moment. It gets pretty ridiculous. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments. Unfortunately, I don't have a build order written out for you guys because this, at the moment, well, it's Saturday, the 28th of January. The pub closed, what was it, 48 hours ago? And I'm still in here. I'm just trying to put out as much content as I can while I'm in here before my game crashes, because that will happen eventually. My game will crash. I'll wake up one day and the game will just be closed. And I'll be like, I guess it crashed. Yeah, I'm just going to keep hiding out in here and creating content for you guys. So there you go. There's a nice little video on the French. Any questions, leave them down below, and I'll take a look through and make sure I'm answering them for you. But other than that, I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.